Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. This is not just any coin, this is the kind of coin that turns everyday people into accidental treasure hunters. And yes, in the right condition. And with the right features, this tiny copper coin has been rumored to reach values close to $1 million now. Before you start flipping over your couch cushions, let me break this down in a way that is easy to understand, fun to follow, and maybe even a little life-changing. Let us start with the basics. The 1940 Lincoln wheat penny was produced during a time when the world was on the brink of major change. The United States Mint struck millions of these coins, and the ones without a mint mark were made in Philadelphia. Back then, not having a mint mark was completely normal. So you might be thinking, how can something so common become so valuable? Here is where things get interesting. Not all coins are created equal, even if they come from the same year and the same mint. Some coins have tiny differences called errors or varieties. These small details are what collectors obsess over, and they are what can turn a 1-cent coin into a 6 or even 7-figure prize. Now let me paint you a picture. Imagine two identical-looking 1940 pennies. One is worn, scratched, and has been passed around for decades. The other looks almost brand new with sharp details and a bright surface. The first one might be worth a few cents. The second one could be worth thousands or more. That is the power of condition in coin collecting. Collectors use something called grading to determine how perfect a coin is. The highest grades, like mint state 65 or above, are where the real money is. If a 1940 no-mint mark penny is found in near perfect condition, it becomes extremely rare because most coins from that time were heavily used, but condition alone is not enough to push the value toward that million-dollar dream. The real magic happens when you combine condition with rare errors. Let us talk about some of those errors, because this is where things get exciting. One of the most famous types is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck in a way that causes the design to appear doubled, especially on the lettering or the date. Imagine seeing the word Liberty or the numbers in 1940 slightly duplicated. That is not damage, that is a minting mistake, and collectors love it. Another error to look for is off center strikes, where the design is not perfectly aligned, or coins with unusual coloration due to improper metal mixtures during production. These might sound like flaws, but in the world of coin collecting, flaws can be gold mines. Now, I want to share a quick story, because this is what really hooked me into coins. A few years ago, I was cleaning out an old drawer at home. Nothing fancy, just random stuff: receipts, old keys, and a jar of coins. I almost ignored it, but something told me to take a closer look. I started flipping through the pennies, not expecting anything special, and then I saw it, an old wheat penny. The design looked different from modern coins, with those iconic wheat stalks on the back. At that moment, I felt like I had discovered buried treasure. Even though it was just a penny, I did not become a millionaire that day, but it sparked something in me. Curiosity turned into research, and research turned into a hobby that is both exciting and surprisingly rewarding. And that is exactly what I want for you. Not just the dream of finding a $1 million coin, but the thrill of the hunt back to the 1940 no-mint mark penny. So what would it take for this coin to reach that legendary $1 million value? It would likely need to be in nearly perfect condition, combined with a rare and dramatic error, possibly something unique or extremely limited in existence. Coins like that are incredibly rare, but they do exist, and that is why collectors are always searching. Even if you do not find a $1 million coin, do not be discouraged. Many 1940 wheat pennies in excellent condition can still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That is a huge return for something that originally cost just 1 cent. Let us talk about how you can start checking your own coins. First, look at the date, obviously 1940, then check for a mint mark under the date. If there is no letter, that means it was made in Philadelphia. Next, examine the coin closely. Look for sharp details, especially in the hair of Lincoln and the wheat stalks on the back. After that, grab a magnifying glass or even use your phone camera zoom in and look for doubling in the text or numbers. Also check if the coin is off-center or has any unusual features. These small details can make a massive difference, and here is a tip that might save you a lot of regret. Never clean your coins. I know it is tempting to make them shiny, but cleaning can actually reduce their value dramatically. Collectors prefer coins in their original condition, even if they look a little dirty. Another important step is to get your coin authenticated. If you think you have something special, professional grading services can confirm its authenticity and assign a grade. This not only protects you from selling a valuable coin for too little, but also makes it more attractive to serious buyers. Now let us address the big question: is the $1 million value realistic? The honest answer is, it is extremely rare, but not impossible. The coin market is driven by rarity, condition, and demand. If the right coin appears at the right time with the right buyers, even a humble penny can break records, and that is what makes this hobby so addictive. Every coin has a story, every detail matters, and every pocket of change could hold a surprise. Think about it. You do not need expensive equipment or a huge investment to start. All you need is curiosity, patience, and a willingness to look a little closer at the things most people ignore. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you that coin collecting is not just about money. It is about history, discovery, and the excitement of finding something extraordinary in the ordinary. Whether you are searching through old jars, checking your wallet, or exploring flea markets, you are part of a treasure hunt that never really ends. But what if I told you that a 1941 no-mint marked Lincoln wheat penny could secretly be one of those hidden treasures? The kind of coin people accidentally spend every day without even thinking twice. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Yeah, right, another internet myth," stick with me, because today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked coins in American history. A coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but has shocked collectors with its rare varieties, hidden errors, and jaw-dropping values that can climb all the way up to $1 million in the right condition. And yes, we are talking about a tiny copper coin that once bought candy, now potentially worth a life-changing amount of money. So grab your coffee, sit back, and maybe keep a handful of pennies nearby, because by the end of this video, you might just look at pocket change very differently. Body, let us start with the basics. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny was minted during a very interesting time in history. The world was on the edge of World War II, and the United States was about to enter a major global conflict. Coins from this era carry not just monetary value but historical weight. The 1941 penny features Abraham Lincoln on the front, as usual, with his calm, thoughtful expression. On the back, you will see the classic wheat ears design, which is why these coins are often called wheat pennies. This design was used from 1909 to 1958, making it one of the most iconic looks in American coinage. Now here is where things get interesting. The no-mint mark version of the 1941 penny was struck in Philadelphia. Back then, coins from Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark, which means no tiny letter under the date. That makes it a bit tricky because you cannot immediately tell where it was minted unless you know what to look for. Millions of these coins were produced. In fact, over 887 million 1941 pennies were minted in Philadelphia alone. That is a huge number, which might make you think there is no way this coin could be valuable. And in most cases, you would be right. A typical worn 1941 penny might only be worth a few cents to a couple of dollars. Not exactly life-changing. But here is the twist. Condition is everything. And I mean everything. If you find a 1941 no-mint mark penny in extremely high-grade condition, something collectors call mint state, the value starts to climb quickly. These coins were never circulated, meaning they were not used in everyday transactions. They kept their original shine, detail, and sharpness. Now imagine finding one of these in near perfect condition. No scratches, no wear, full original luster. That is where collectors get excited. Prices can jump into the thousands, then tens of thousands, and under very rare circumstances, especially if the coin has unique characteristics or exceptional grading, the value can reach into the hundreds of thousands or even approach that million-dollar dream territory that collectors love to talk about. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out an old drawer at home. You know, the kind where random stuff goes to disappear forever. Old receipts, dead batteries, and of course loose coins. I almost ignored them. I mean, who gets excited about pennies, right? But for some reason, I started looking closely. Maybe curiosity, maybe boredom. And there it was. An old wheat penny. I remember thinking, wow, this looks different. It had that classic wheat design and a date from the 1940s. Now, it was not in perfect condition. So no, I did not suddenly become a millionaire overnight. But that moment changed how I look at coins forever. Because it made me realize something important. Treasure does not always look like treasure. Sometimes it looks like spare change. Now back to the 1941 penny. One of the key things that can boost its value is the presence of errors. Coin errors happen during the minting process, and they can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. For example, double die errors are highly sought after. This is when the design appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during production. You might see doubling in the letters or numbers. To the untrained eye, it might look like a mistake. To a collector, it is a jackpot. Another thing to look for is off-center strikes. That is when the coin design is not perfectly aligned, leaving part of the coin blank. These errors are rare and can be very valuable. There are also die cracks, where small lines appear on the coin due to cracks in the minting dies. Some collectors actually love these because they tell a story about how the coin was made. Now let us talk about grading for a moment. Coins are graded on a scale from poor condition all the way up to perfect mint state. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A 1941 penny in average circulated condition might be worth just a few cents. But the same coin in mint state 65 or higher could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And then there are those ultra-rare specimens. The ones that are nearly flawless. These are the coins that can fetch incredible prices at auctions. They are the ones that spark headlines and make people say, wait a minute, I need to check my coins right now. Here is a simple tip. If you think you have a valuable coin, do not clean it. I repeat, do not clean it. Cleaning can actually reduce the value significantly because collectors prefer coins in their original state, even if they look a bit dirty. Now you might be wondering, how do I even check if I have one of these coins? Start by looking at the date. Make sure it says 1941. Then check for a mint mark under the date. If there is no letter, you have the Philadelphia version. Next, examine the condition. Is the coin worn or does it still have sharp details? Can you see Lincoln's hair clearly? Are the wheat lines on the back still defined? Then look for errors. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Check the letters, the numbers, the edges. You never know what you might find. And here is the fun part. You do not need to be an expert to start. You just need curiosity. Think about how many pennies pass through people's hands every day. Thousands, millions even. Most people do not pay attention to them. They toss them in jars, leave them in cars, or spin them without a second thought. But you are different. You are here, watching this, learning something new. And that alone already puts you ahead of most people. Let us circle back to that million-dollar idea. Is every 1941 penny worth $1 million? No, absolutely not. but the possibility of finding a rare, high-grade, or error coin that is worth a significant amount is very real. And that is what makes coin collecting so exciting. It is like a treasure hunt where the treasure could be hiding in plain sight. And honestly, even if you never find a $1 million coin, the journey itself is worth it. You start noticing details, appreciating history, and seeing value where others see nothing. Plus, it is a great conversation starter. Imagine telling someone, "Hey, I collect pennies," and then casually mentioning that some of them can be worth thousands of dollars. Watch their reaction. It is priceless. So here is the takeaway. The 1941 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny might look like just another old coin, but under the right conditions, it can hold incredible value. From a few cents to thousands, and in rare cases, even approaching that dream level of $1 million. The key is knowing what to look for. Condition, errors, and authenticity all play a huge role. And the best part is you do not need expensive equipment or years of experience to get started. Just a little curiosity and attention to detail. We are diving into one of those unbelievable stories that keeps coin collectors awake at night and has everyday people checking their change like treasure hunters. We are talking about the 1942 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny. Yes, that tiny copper coin from the middle of World War II that most people would overlook without a second thought. But here is the twist: some of these coins have shocked the market with jaw-dropping values reaching up to $1.1 million in top condition. So in this video, I am going to walk you through everything you need to know in a simple, friendly way. What makes this coin special, why collectors are obsessed with it, how to identify if you have one, what errors to look for, and most importantly, how a regular person like you could possibly turn a penny into life-changing money. And along the way, I will share a personal story that might make you look at your spare change very differently. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you might be running to check every coin you own. Let us start with the basics. The 1942 Lincoln wheat penny was minted during a very interesting time in history. The world was at war, and the United States was heavily involved in World War II. Copper was a critical material needed for military equipment, including ammunition and electrical wiring. Because of this, the government started thinking about changing the composition of coins. Now, the 1942 penny was still made mostly of copper, but it was one of the last years before the famous 1943 steel pennies came into circulation. That alone already makes the 1942 penny historically important. But here is where things get really interesting. The version we are talking about today has no mint mark. That means it was produced in Philadelphia, which was the main mint at the time. No mint mark coins are very common in general, but not all of them are valuable. So what makes this one different? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and errors. Let us talk about condition first. In the coin collecting world, condition is everything. A coin that looks worn, scratched, and faded might only be worth a few cents or a few dollars, but the same coin in pristine condition, looking almost brand new, can be worth thousands or even millions. For the 1942 no-mint Mark wheat penny, the highest values come from coins graded in near perfect condition. We are talking about coins that have sharp details, bright luster, and almost no signs of wear. These are extremely rare because most coins from that time were heavily used in everyday transactions. Think about it. Back in 1942, people were not saving pennies in protective holders. They were buying groceries, paying for bus rides, and doing daily transactions. So finding one that survived in perfect condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Now let us move on to errors, because this is where things get really exciting. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process, and collectors absolutely love them. Why? Because they are unique. No two error coins are exactly the same, and that rarity drives up the value. Some of the most valuable 1942 pennies have errors, like double dies where the design appears doubled off center, strikes where the image is not properly aligned, or even planchet errors where the metal itself has flaws. Imagine holding a coin that was never supposed to look that way. That is what makes it special, and when you combine a rare error with excellent condition, you get those crazy high values like $1.1 million. Now, I want to share a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was visiting a relative who had this old glass jar filled with coins, nothing special, just random change collected over the years. So we thought, out of curiosity, I started going through the jar. At first it was just normal coins, nothing exciting, but then I found an old wheat penny. My heart actually skipped a beat. I checked the date, and it was from the early 1940s. No, it was not in perfect condition, and it was not worth a fortune, but that moment changed something in me. It made me realize that hidden treasures can exist in the most ordinary places. Since then, I have never looked at coins the same way again, and that is exactly why videos like this matter, because you never know what you might have. Now let us get practical. How do you check if you have a valuable 1942 penny? First, look at the date. Make sure it says 1942. Next, check for a mint mark. If there is no letter under the date, then you have the Philadelphia version. Then examine the condition. Is the coin shiny? Are the details sharp? Can you clearly see the lines in Lincoln hair and the wheat stalks on the back? The better the condition, the higher the potential value. After that, look for errors. Use a magnifying glass if you can. Check for doubling in the letters and numbers. Look for anything unusual or off-center. If something looks strange, do not ignore it. That could be the detail that makes your coin special. Another important tip: do not clean your coin. I know it is tempting. You might think cleaning will make it look better and increase the value, but in reality, cleaning can actually damage the surface and reduce the value significantly. Collectors prefer coins in their original state, even if they look a little dirty, so always leave it as it is. Now let us talk about grading. If you believe you have a high quality or error coin, the next step is to get it professionally graded. Grading companies evaluate the condition and authenticity of coins. This gives buyers confidence and can significantly increase the value. It is like getting a certificate that proves your coin is the real deal. Without grading, it can be difficult to convince someone to pay a high price. Now, you might be wondering, is it really possible for a penny to be worth $1.1 million? The answer is yes, but it is extremely rare. Those top values usually come from coins that are almost perfect and have unique characteristics. But even if your coin is not worth millions, it could still be worth much more than one. Since some 1942 pennies sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and features, so it is always worth checking. Let us also talk about demand. Coin collecting is a global hobby. There are millions of collectors out there constantly searching for rare pieces, and Lincoln wheat pennies are one of the most popular series. They are affordable for beginners, but also offer high-end rarities for serious collectors. This combination keeps demand strong, and when demand is high and supply is limited, prices go up. That is basic economics. So even in the future, coins like the 1942 wheat penny are likely to remain valuable. Now here is something funny: once you start checking coins, it becomes addictive. You will find yourself looking at every penny that comes your way at the grocery store, at the gas station, even digging through old drawers at home. You might even annoy your friends and family a little. Trust me, I have been there, but who knows, one day that habit could pay off in a big way. Conclusion: so here we are a simple 1-cent coin from 1942, something most people would ignore, but in the right condition with the right features, it could be worth a fortune, up to $1.1 million. That is the magic of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into hidden treasures. It combines history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. And the best part, anyone can do it. You do not need expensive equipment. You do not need years of experience. All you need is curiosity and a willingness to look a little closer. So after watching this video, I want you to do something. Go check your coins, look through your wallet, your drawers, your old jars. Pay attention to those small details, because you never know, your next penny might not just be a penny, it could be your lucky break-in. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins worth money, hidden errors, and real-life treasure stories, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I am constantly sharing tips, secrets, and insights that could help you spot your next valuable find. We are diving into the fascinating story of the 1943 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny, a coin surrounded by mystery, excitement, and jaw-dropping value, with some examples selling for as much as $1.12 million. Yes, you heard that right, over $1 million for a single penny. But before you start flipping couch cushions and checking your piggy bank, let me take you on a journey through history's secrets and a few surprising twists that make this coin one of the most talked about treasures among collectors. And trust me, by the end of this video, you might never look at your spare change the same way again. Body, let us go back in time to the year 1943. The world was in the middle of World War II, and every resource mattered, including copper. The United States needed copper for war equipment like shell casings and electrical wiring, so the government made a bold decision. They stopped using copper for pennies and switched to steel coated with zinc. That is why most 1943 pennies you will find today are actually silver-colored steel coins, not the usual brown copper ones. Now here is where things get interesting. A tiny number of 1943 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets from 1942. These were not supposed to exist, but due to a mix-up at the mint, a few slipped through the cracks and entered circulation, and just like that, a legend was born. These rare 1943 copper pennies, especially the ones with no mint mark, which means they were made in Philadelphia, became one of the most valuable coins in the world. Now, you might be wondering, how rare are we talking about? Well, experts believe only a few dozen genuine 1943 copper pennies exist today. That is not a few thousand, not even a few hundred, just a few dozen. That level of rarity is what drives collectors absolutely wild. Now let us talk about value, because that is what everyone really wants to know. A genuine 1943 no-mint mark copper Lincoln Wheat penny in top condition can sell for up to $1.12 million, sometimes even more, depending on the condition and authentication. Even coins in lower grades can still fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here is the catch, and it is a big one. There are tons of fakes out there. People have tried everything from copper plating steel pennies to altering dates on 1948 coins to make them look like 1943. So, if you think you have found one, you cannot just rely on your eyes. You need proper testing and professional authentication. One simple test you can do at home is the magnet test. A real 1943 copper penny will not stick to a magnet because copper is not magnetic, but a steel penny will stick instantly. Another quick check is the weight. A genuine copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while a steel penny weighs around 2.7 grams. But even if your coin passes these tests, do not celebrate just yet. You still need an expert to confirm it. Now let me share a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was going through an old jar of coins that had been sitting in my house for ages. You know, the kind of jar everyone has somewhere collecting dust and forgotten dreams. I remember thinking, what if there is something valuable in here? So I started sorting through the coins one by one, feeling like a treasure hunter on a mission. And then I saw it, a 1943 penny. My heart actually skipped a beat for a moment. I was already imagining what I would do with $1 million, maybe travel the world, maybe buy a dream house, maybe finally stop worrying about bills. But then reality kicked in. It was still shiny, still interesting, but definitely not worth $1 million. I laughed at myself, but at the same time it sparked something. It made me realize how exciting coin collecting can be. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth a fortune. Back to our star coin, the 1943 no-mint mark copper penny. One of the reasons it is so valuable is not just rarity, but also the mystery behind it. How did these coins get made? Who noticed them first? How many are still out there waiting to be discovered? Collectors love a good mystery, and this coin delivers in every way. Now let us talk about condition, because not all coins are created equal. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin that looks almost brand new with sharp details and minimal wear is considered high grade and can sell for much more. On the other hand, a worn coin with scratches and damage will still be valuable, but not nearly as much. Think of it Like cars, a brand new luxury car is worth a lot more than one that has been driven for years and has dents and scratches. Same idea applies here. Now, here is another fun fact. Even if you do not find a copper 1943 penny, some steel 1943 pennies can still be worth a decent amount, especially if they are in excellent condition or have unique errors. So it is always worth checking your coins carefully. Coin collecting is not just about money, it is about history, discovery, and the thrill of the hunt. And who knows, your next handful of change could hold a hidden gem. Let us also talk about why this coin captures so much attention online. People love stories of hidden treasure. The idea that something so valuable could be hiding in plain sight is incredibly exciting. It taps into that universal dream of finding something extraordinary in an ordinary moment. It is like winning the lottery, but without buying a ticket. Now imagine this scenario: you are at a grocery store, you get some change back, you toss it into your pocket without thinking, but later that night you take a closer look and realize you might be holding something rare. That moment of realization, that spark of possibility, that is what makes coins like the 1943 copper penny so captivating. But remember, not every 1943 penny is valuable. Most are steel and worth only a small amount, so it is important to stay realistic while still enjoying the excitement. Another important tip is to never clean your coins. I know it is tempting to make them shiny and new looking, but cleaning can actually reduce their value significantly. Collectors prefer coins in their original condition, even if they look a bit worn. So if you think you have something special, leave it as is and get it checked by a professional. Now let us break down the key things you should look for. First, check the date. It must say 1943. Second, check the color. If it is copper or brown instead of silver, that is a good sign. Third, do the magnet test. If it does not stick, that is another positive sign. Fourth, weigh the coin if you can. And finally, get it authenticated. If all these steps line up, you might just have something incredible on your hands. But even if you do not find $1 million coin, do not be discouraged. There are plenty of other valuable pennies out there waiting to be discovered. Coin collecting is a journey, not just a destination. It is about learning, appreciating history, and enjoying the thrill of the hunt. And who knows, maybe one day your story will be the one people talk about. So here we are at the end of this incredible journey into the world of the 1943 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny, a tiny coin with a massive story and a life-changing price tag. From wartime history to rare minting errors to million-dollar auctions, this coin truly has it all. But more importantly, it reminds us that hidden treasures can exist in the most unexpected places, even in something as simple as pocket change. So next time you get a penny, do not just ignore it. Take a closer look, because you never know what you might find. And if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins that could be worth big money, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the next hidden treasure story.